Yeah. And there we are. We are live. All right, folks. We have the cream of the crop in the NFL for the Final Four coming up. Fish, do you agree with that? We've got the best of the Final Four?
Absolutely. Got 4 of the top 10 defenses. You got 3 of the best young quarterbacks in the league in Mahomes, Hurts, and Burrow. And in the story about Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant just adds more drama to what we're going to see on championship weekend. Here's my takes. There's no one cooler on the planet, Hardline, than Joe Burrow, sitting in the locker room after the game with his Seinfeld pajamas on, smoking a cigar. And then when Tracy Wolfson interviews him after the game, Hardline, he says, well, I guess you guys felt slighted at the championship game, that the neutral site didn't involve the Bengals. He goes, too bad, get refunds. Yeah. I love that play. Well, I'll give you a quick burp from each game, okay? Dallas, I'm going to steal it from you. Kellen Moore, horrible play calling. San Francisco, great defensive battle. Bengals went in there and whooped the ass on the Bills. No excuses, okay? Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts just locked up the MVP with a phenomenal performance. I never saw that coming. And in Kansas City, Mahomes is Superman. He's doing things with one foot. I want to go back to you guys. There's no way he's going to be 100% for that championship game. That's my takes from all 4 games.
All right, Hardline, give us yours. Do you agree this is the best Final Four, or would you say not? And then give us your takes.
I wouldn't say this is the best Final Four. Look, to me, Dallas did a Dallas. Dallas shot themselves in the foot. To me, yesterday's game wasn't about how good the 49ers played. It was more so about how Dallas screwed themselves. To me, you can't be a dead even game going into halftime. You're running the ball. You have a game plan, and then Tony Pollard goes down. It's sad Tony Pollard goes down. I wish him nothing but speedy recovery in his broken leg. But you're paying Ezekiel Elliott top 5 running back money. You drafted him as a first-round running back. You can't be afraid to run the ball with the guy that you're overpaying time and time again. That's why you have him. So if you're not going to stick with that play calling, what are we doing altogether? I think that I know everybody's coming from Mike McCarthy's head. I do think that there needs to be a conversation about Kellen Moore maybe being replaced as an offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe they go in a different direction. In terms of the Cincinnati Bengals, look, I think Fish put it best. They put foot to ass on Sunday. They showed everyone, and again, it goes back to Daly calling it weeks ago. I think that they are the best team in football right now. Joe Mixon had over 100 yards running in Buffalo. Jamar Chase burned people. Joe Cool looked very cool. Everything that you could have asked the Bengals to do and more, they executed. And a lot of credit has to go to Zach Taylor. I know he's kind of the guy behind the scenes that a lot of people don't necessarily give a lot of credit to, but give a lot of credit where credit's due with him. I know that the Bills had issues on defense, Von Miller going down in injuries. But we talked about this on last week's show, their inability to pick up weak side blitzes, and Josh Allen was running for his life. Did he play his best game? No. Were there things that he could have picked up or done better? Absolutely. But again, unfortunately, it's another, somewhat typical Bills season. Kansas City, I don't know. Like as Fish said, if he's not fully 100% because of that injury on last Sunday, I think, the Bengals look like the better team. But look, the 49ers, we'll see what they do when they go to Philly. Philly's a rough place to play. I love what Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni has done this season. If you asked me at the beginning of this year, do I think that they would be my Super Bowl pick for the NFC? No. But clearly they have redefined what it means to be an Eagle, and this is a fun time if you're an Eagle. I don't think I've ever seen the Eagles cohesively with their running back game and their wide receivers be as dangerous as they have been in eons.
All right, we're going to have Hardline's picks coming up a little later on in the show as well. Let me just reiterate a lot of what you guys are saying. I agree with you, Fish. I think the Eagles are the best team. They destroyed the Giants. And Fish, you and I last week thought the Giants were really beginning to come on. They weren't even in that game. They weren't even a part of it. Hurts looks healthy. The whole team looks healthy. And I think we were kind of worried about them in December. I think they got some rest and they got healthy. And all of a sudden they came back. They had that week off. So I think they're right there. The 49ers D could be the key. Their offense was stuck. I thought the Cowboys played a decent defensive game. How about that moment, the classic moment This is going to go down maybe in the top 20 of moments. Kittle's bobble catch. That was one of the great catches. I mean, he bounced it off his helmet. He bounced. I don't know how a defender didn't come by and at least get him that. That was an incredible play that actually changed, I think, the momentum of that game. I do think it'll be a classic matchup with the Eagles and Niners, but I agree with you guys. I think the Eagles are the team. Bengals came across, as the team that started to take shape also in there. I agree with you, Fish. You have a high ankle sprain. You can probably play that day. You cannot play in the following week if it's that bad. And I think he's going to have a problem with that. Zach Taylor, how is he not even considered in Coach of the Year? Unbelievable. They lost 3 linemen and came in there and absolutely took out the Bills. I mean, that wasn't even a close game. That game was technically over when it was 14-0. And at the same time, too, I feel bad for Josh Allen. They need to get a running back duo that can not only run the ball, but they can pick up blitzes. He was all over the place. And he's the type of guy, granted, he's tough. He's a great runner. You do not want him getting the crap beaten out of him, which he has a lot of times, as big as he is. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen next week. And Fish, you had something else. You're going to hit me with something.
I'm going to hit hardline. John, are you okay? Do you need some, there's a lot of 12-step programs in town that we could get you to. We live in Las Vegas, and anywhere you go on a street corner is something for pain. I don't understand. I love you to death. I love both you guys. I take a bullet for both you guys. But when you say something to me that I don't want to take the bullet anymore. The Dallas Cowboys stumbled into the fucking playoffs. They lost 3 of their last 4 games. All right. And Houston, the overtime, they had a 27-10 lead on Jacksonville. Yes, they beat the Eagles with Gardner Minshew, but that took until overtime to do that. They beat Tampa with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the lowest rush average. We know that. All right. Dallas is not better than San Francisco. If you check all the boxes, start with the coaching staff, that's it right there. Defenses, San Francisco got a better depth. I don't know how you think Dallas is better than San Francisco and should represent. Okay. Dak Prescott, 9 multiple interception games this year. You know what he is? Okay. He's Derek Carr with a great defense.
Go for it, Hardline. Defend yourself.
Come on, come back at me.
Look, man, you're right. Look, the multiple interceptions didn't help yesterday. But also, the one thing I say is you can't get away from a game plan that's working. You can't tell me, looking at the first half of that game, it was a coin flip of who could have or couldn't have won. The whole point is you can't have your running back you're paying multi-million dollars for have 10 carries for 26 yards. I don't care what team you are. I don't care if you're the Houston Texans. I don't care if you're the Chicago Bears. That's poor play calling no matter what. Should Dak have played better? Yes. Did CeeDee Lamb have over 100 yards receiving? Absolutely. So they're throwing the ball. Do I think that they could have used more slant routes? Do I think they could have attacked the middle of the field and been better? Absolutely. And that's where the adjustments and being a good play caller makes a difference. I'm not saying that you don't hold Dak accountable. Look, you have to be held accountable. Even Dak has said, you know what? That can't happen. I have to be a better player. But if you look at the play calling, if you look at the way that they ran, there is an issue with the way that first half went in second. And I'll throw this out here. If you don't trust your kicker, why is he there? I do not understand why Brett Maher was there and you're taking delay of games to move back to punt. If you don't think that he has a leg, if you don't think that guy is going to convert, get him out of the building. There's a bunch of people on the streets that I know can be field goal kickers. Let them be. But Brett Maher, if you're not going to trust him, get rid of him. Because you had Greg Zuerlein, you had Greg the leg, and you let him walk to New York. That's their fault. Again,
you see what he does, Daly? I'm like, you see what this guy does? He goes to the kicking game and he's trying to make a case for why Dallas should be there instead of San Francisco. Look, I hate the Niners. I'm a Raider fan. You're a Raider fan. That rivalry, the Bay Area, goes forever. I'll be very short here. San Francisco on an 11-game winning streak. Do I think they beat Philly? No. I'm giving my Super Bowl prediction right now, and Daly can move on. I like Philly. I like the Bengals.
I'm there too. How about you, Hardline? Real quick.
No, I'm there. I mean, I'm there unless something catastrophic or ridiculously happens on Sunday. I got the Bengals going.
Okay, here we go. Hey, folks, welcome to Daly Fish. We're coming to you from Vegas in Myrtle Beach. I'm John Daly. He's Eric Snyder. And we have the Hardline with John Hardison from the Cost of Winning podcast, all of his sports betting advice that's coming up soon. Hey, you got questions or comments, drop them in the chat box. Or if you are not watching us live, email us at dailyfish the number one, dalyfish1 @gmail.com. So whose joke was this? I said to her, what would you like to drink? She said, I'm thinking champagne. I said, think again. Who was that? That was the legendary Slappy White. Fish, why are we remembering Slappy White today?
By the way, folks, John Daly has a 4 o'clock and a 6 o'clock in the morning show at Chuck's Tavern with the 2-drink minimum. Try the veal parmesan. It's on sale. All right. I want you guys to look at this video. It's disturbing. This is the number one new sport coming out right now, and Dana White backs this.
All right, buddy, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. The power is on.
God damn. Holy fucking shit. Oh my God.
Look at this bell.
Looking at me? You're a disrespectful little shit, bro. Go for it.
Talk shit like that, cause we're gonna fucking bang.
Hey, the beautiful thing about this thing is you get to slap the shit out of all the people you don't like.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Wow. Can I start with this one, Hardline? I got people walking into Chuck's Tavern on North Durango and saying, are you showing the slap championships? That was, look, I'm a non-violent guy. I love my favorite sports, a violent sport and football. That's crazy. What do you guys think? Nuts.
I think the timing is horrible for Dana White and this to be coming out right now. Look, I'm surprised that they didn't try to put this on the back burner and hold off because of everything that he's got to, atone for right now. But look, we live in a violent society. In the most violent sports usually get the highest ratings. So am I surprised that he's gone down this road? No. I don't know if I'm going to watch something where someone's like, you're a little bitch, smack me. That's I'm kind of more the guy that's like, put some gloves on or get in the octagon and we'll go from there. Now, everybody's a tough guy till they get punched in the face. So we'll go from there.
I'm not a fan of UFC by any stretch of the imagination because I do think it causes too many head injuries. Obviously, I had a problem with the NFL with that. Something like this is just the most ridiculous thing in the world. And the fact that you would do that, you would be damaging people. Go back to the 70s when all the liberals were talking about how sports should be to build up the body, not to tear it down or to make money. And unfortunately, we need to go leaning back a little bit towards that way again. I think this is ridiculous. I think whoever puts this on, whoever watches it, you're nuts. You're not helping society. Go for it, Fish.
Well, that's the problem. You think the world's going to end with nuclear war, yet this is going to be something that is absolutely huge. Dana White, say what you want about him in his personal life, is a great man in this town. He's the best tipper I've ever seen. And he engages and what have you. And he found a way to make money. And what he's doing, John Daly and John Hardison, is he's found a way to peak out a new sport that people are going to cringe to. Okay. Look how popular the UFC is everywhere. Can't tell me phone calls I get. Yeah, there's a fight on tonight, UFC fight. It's huge. It's bigger than boxing. This is going to be huge. This is the world we live in.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. And it's not the way we should be reacting to people because unfortunately they take this and, you see, families hitting each other like that. You see husbands hitting wives or wives hitting husbands. To me, I still think it's, you're not helping kids. This isn't going to help. So anyway, okay. Let's go on to the next one. Got a whoa Nelly one. Got a little bit. You're going to take us back, Fish. What do you got here?
I'm going to show you a video, Hardline. I'm going to get out of it because I'm going to ask you a question. This is huge. There was a show on when John and I were younger called Super Teams. It's Battle Network Stars, Superstars. Super Teams was you took a team from the NFL that won the championship and a team from Major League Baseball. This is, I believe, the Dallas Cowboys and Kansas City Royals. I'll show you a little bit of this thing, and I got a question for you guys.
Now past 20 minutes, which is by some measure, the better part of 3.5 minutes, a new record for the tug of war. Now the time wears on. The crowd's enthusiasm maintained a level pace. as the Dallas Cowboys remained aggressive, trying to grab back the advantage from Kansas City. Couldn't gain much as the Royals held and held.
All right. Isn't that great? Now, that was the Kansas City Royals. That was Randy White for the Dallas Cowboys. And John remembers, Freddie Patek, remember him, like 5'4"?
Yeah.
He's the anchor for the Royals. Hugely popular, great ratings. Cosell was involved in those broadcasts. I'll make a long story short. If you had to pick two teams in your life, modern day, from like 1980 on, hardline, one in football and one in baseball, to do all these events. They did tug of wars, they did obstacle courses, they did cliff diving. I mean, they paid. If you won, every guy in the team the winning team got $15,000 and the loser $10,000. It's a lot of money back in 1975, 78. So you guys go and I'll end. Or you want me to start since you can give you that chance to think about it?
Go ahead and start, Fish.
Okay. I would love to see, the 1985 Bears with William Refrigerator Perry, Jim McMahon, Walter Payton, Otis Wilson against the 1977 New York Yankees, and put Billy Martin in there, right, on the tug of war with Reggie Jackson, Thurman Munson, those great teams. I would love to see if I could. Now, obviously, when they did it back then, it was teams that won it the year before. But if I can go back in time, I would love to see those two do all the events. And I'll tell you where we're leading when we get done with this.
Go for it, Hardline. Who you got?
You know what? I'm gonna take the 1989 Detroit Pistons. And I'm gonna take the 1973 Philadelphia Flyers because at some point somebody's getting fighting.
Oh my God!
I love that.
That's a good one.
Well, was it the Bad Boys? The Bad Boys weren't 79, were they? No,
89.
80. Oh yeah, against the Broad Street Bullies, Daly. Wow.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. All right, I was gonna add in this one. This one's a little goofy. I think it was the 2008 Patriots that almost went undefeated and lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl and didn't come across undefeated, and the Giants won it with Eli Manning, and put them up against the Yankees 2003 team that knocked out the Red Sox, and just so that we can see if Boston will get some recompense coming back. So anyway, those are mine, even though they're probably two separate apart and like that. But anyway, you guys had really two good ones. Those were great.
So did you. And where this is leading is the NFL, brilliant in marketing, both my gentlemen Johns. They're idiots. They're trying to sell us this fucking Pro Bowl here in Las Vegas, where they're having an obstacle course, flag football, dunk contest. I mean, you can pay $100 to see Matt Crosby get dunked by a kid. Who gives a shit? I'm sorry. All right. I want to watch the super teams again. Bring it back. Let Al Michaels do it. Let Joe Rogan do it. You know, I would love to see that again. It was a lot of fun. If you can't, go on YouTube. YouTube is one of the outlets that we do this show on, and just put in super teams. Watch Pete Rose in one of the years the Cincinnati Reds were involved, John. Watch him on the tug of war. You know how he handles things. How you remember the All-Star game? He knocked Fosse on his ass. Yeah. He is as diligent and as voracious in that he is playing ball. It's great.
How much money did Pete Rose win on the tug of war? Because I know he put a bet on it.
Good one.
All right. There we go. And go back and take a look because those are kind of fun. I'm concerned though. The NFL probably doesn't want injuries, and some of that stuff could lead to some injuries. That's the only thing I'm thinking. That's why I think they're going with the ridiculous stuff that they're going with. And you're right.
You know what? At this point, like I would rather with the flag football game, I would rather them just do like a celebrity flag football game, something that you could, when you're there, you could be like, oh, that star is there, or this. I do think it's weird, and Fish, correct me if I'm wrong. The first night of the Pro Bowl, the skills stuff, which is at the Raiders practice facility, Intermountain Health Facility, that's closed off to the public, correct? They don't have anybody going into that. It's just the stuff that's at Allegiant Stadium.
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm not buying any of it. I mean, I don't like All-Star game. We'll get into that in the future show. But the Pro Bowl is the biggest joke of them all, and now you're trying to sell everyone on $100 or whatever the ticket price is to watch these guys. So who could throw the longest football into a basket, into a trash can? I don't care.
Yeah. All right, let's move on here. Shannon Sharp got into a little jaw-jacking from the stands during the Lakers-Grizzlies game last week. My question to you guys, is that entertainment, or shouldn't he have been chucked from the arena? Fish, you go first.
Okay. I have incredible sources that told me that the whole thing was staged. I knew it the minute I watched it. He does a show with Shannon Sharp, with Skip Bayless on Monday morning called Undisputed. And I said, I know they're going to lead off with this. And Shannon Sharp, I've met him, is a class act. There's no way he's throwing F-bombs by himself and comparing Jay Morant to LeBron. That whole thing was staged because you know what? There's so many shows on in the morning. There's so many podcasts you compete with. What are you going to do the shock and awe? Okay. The thing was staged. It's bullshit. All right. And they did move him they did take him out and put him in a corridor, and he came back in the third quarter. Why would someone of that stature do something like that? It was staged. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Hard line, go for it.
Look, it's Hollywood. Anything can happen anywhere. Anything's possible. Should this have happened? No. I mean, look, you took people that work hard every single day to afford tickets. You took this away from them, this experience. Yeah, was it somewhat entertaining? But, the game shouldn't have stopped because a fan got into it with a player on the court. They're throwing F-bombs at each other. What I don't understand is why T. Morant, John Morant's dad, now got up from the stands. Look, your son's a grown-ass basketball player. This isn't going to be the first time that somebody heckles his ass. You can't run out of the stands and try to defend him every which way. Sometimes you got to let him just stand on his thing. I mean, this is the silliest shit I've seen in a long time. At this point, you know what I mean? Like, this is like the streaker running across the field and getting laid the hell out and then being upset that he got laid out. This shit is dumb. But I mean, look, when the Lakers are losing, you got to have something theatrical, So we'll see. If Dr. Bus was alive, he would have made a stage play of this shit and put it on for 15-minute halftime.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was also a lot of it was staged because after the so-called argument, according to the articles, Morant and Sharp kind of hugged and said, okay, fine, and all that. And then at the same time, too, Hardline, you were playing something before you and I were waiting for Fish, and it was Sharp saying, hey, I'm sorry about this. I apologize to everybody, and I don't want to be like that. And, but unfortunately, I mean, if you watch their show, their show is set up to just be a bunch of arguments all the time, back and forth. Why? Because that sells. I mean, that's what's going on in news as well. So that's it. Go ahead. One more point.
I just got a text from Stephen A. Smith, and he said, "Tell that good-looking CeeLo Cedric the Entertainer-looking motherfucker the Dallas Cowboys are better than the 49ers and should be in the Final Four." All right. What is he, married to Michael Irvin? What, he's sitting in Jerry Jones' box sitting there? One thing, guys, you ever notice when the Cowboys lose, they never show Jerry Jones in the press box? A fan of the show, Dave Pinotti, said that to me. They never show Jerry Jones. When they do something great, with his, I won't say what kind of demographics are in his press box, but you know what? But whatever. I just had to bring that out.
All right. Let's get to the famous Fish memes. What have you been glued to this week, Fish?
Look at that. Isn't that a beautiful thing of love? I mean, I love interracial marriage, but look at that. When you find the right person, I mean, now you see all the farmers.coms everywhere and what have you. That's just pure love.
What bills need to be paid?
Look at that. Is that the Black Dudley Moore and Shannon Tweed? What kind of brother is going to allow that to happen? Wow.
But if she's strong, who cares?
What if it's not a she? Anyways, look at this guy. That's gang shit right there. I mean, my son, I love my son, but there's a time in the 90s he'd walk around, put your fucking pants up. Come on, man. You can't get an airplane right now doing that anymore. So look at this one. Look at that. Look at the gang symbol.
Wow.
Someone's busting out. Someone's busting young right there. Look at that. I mean, wow. You got to talk about a woman right now that's showing her street cred, okay? Here's one of my last wives. She wanted, if Monday were a person. Monday were a person. That's basically what the Cowboys and Bills and Giants and Jaguar fans are looking like this morning. Monday's tough after your season's over. Look at this beauty. Wow. You know?
Oh, wow.
Hi, I'm here to sell my season tickets for the Raiders.
Is that a woman or is that a man?
Looks like Santa Claus. Look at this beauty. Wow.
Ooh,
Nice.
That's a fashion statement, Hardline. Do you see that guy walking down the street? You want to get him into the Joe Burrow collection over at Macy's. Look at that guy. All
is
right.
that
Yeah,
a
you want
thong
to
or a
find out what the suspenders are, because those suspenders are working hard.
They are working hard. Oh my God, the crotch sweat is incredible. And then this is someone. Hey, you know what? This is a cornucopia of America right now.
Ooh. Ooh.
Wow.
You can only, you know what? We criticize this country and our politics and things that happen, and some of the segments you just talked about. That was what makes this country great, is that you have people that can display that kind of clothing, emotion, and love for each other, man. Let me go back. This is the one that gets me the most out of all of them, is this right here. I love that. That's love right there. You know, that's great.
Fish, I gotta ask, is that the 4th of July montage about with fireworks going off about how great we are?
Sometimes I want to put that in the schmuck segment, but I see these memes come across, and I just, let's add a little. No matter what you have in your life, there's someone else that has something different in their life. The guy with the suspenders. Do you know anyone in your social circle that looks like that? So we're giving you just a montage of what America looks like. That's love right there. This is love. Look how happy the guy in front looks like one of these guys that you always see on the ABC Evening News that's a pedophile. I'm sorry. Eric Snyder, ER60 at Gmail.
There you are. There you are. Those are the Fish memes for the week. All right, folks, thanks for joining us here on Daily Fish. We talk sports, entertainment, politics, and everything in between, just like you do. No woke, no extreme, no social justice cops here. You got a problem with us? Never. You won't have a problem with us. But if you do, send us comments or questions to dailyfish1, the number 1, dailyfish1 at gmail.com. All right, now it is time for Schmuck, Swag, and Drinks. Fish, you just mentioned this before. Who's been schmucky? So these are people who didn't make it this week. Who has made schmucky?
These are. I'll go back. So I always want to give people that watch us, thank God, on all our outlets, I want to show them what a schmuck looks like. That's schmuck of the week, right? Now I'm going to scroll down and find this video for you all. Watch this video, and this is not staged. This really happened. Lauren Francelli and her husband.
Good boy. Can I do these? I can get out. Jerry, wait. I can't get out. Wait, I can pull it. Oh my God.
So they put themselves in dog crates, and then they couldn't get out.
That is incredible. Those are doggy cages. We put our dogs in, and they got in there to try it, and they couldn't get out. And that was not staged. I saw that video on another outlet, and I said, I gotta share that. That is crazy. That's a schmucky move right there. Sorry.
Oh my God. All right. Let's see. Who are we toasting this week? Who's got the swag, Fish?
John, I don't know how popular pickleball is in your parts of the woods, but here they're putting courts up everywhere. This is Steve Kuhn. That is the creator of pickleball. He, along with the aforementioned, I think it was mentioned earlier in the show, LeBron James. LeBron James went on one of his, was it The Shop or one, and just talked about how much he loves pickleball, and it got 4 billion hits. Pickleball is the #1 growing sport in America. I've actually played it. It's tennis on a smaller court with 4 people. A lot of fun. Steve Kuhn, who I'm going to show a picture of him again, he founded pickleball, and now the NBA and other leagues are endorsing it. So let's see how this blows up. Have you guys heard about it?
Yes.
John?
Not only have I heard about it, but here's what's really interesting. If you remember the Rockin' on the Runway celebrity golf event that I went to, that we
Sure.
had on the show. Not next year, but the year after, they're combining with the PPA, which is the Professional Pickleball Association, and it's going to be a pickleball, golf, and Rockin' on the Runway event. So you're beginning to see it down here. And there's a couple of reasons. One, kids can play it all the way up to seniors. It doesn't take an awful lot out of you. It's not a lot of running, and it's also social. So it's catching on, and it was huge. It really started in COVID. So it's huge. And you're right. LeBron jumped on it. And obviously that's going to happen. But again, he's on the major league. It's a major professional league, MLP, yeah. I think is what it is. And then this other one is the PPA. So there's professionals that are going to be in this other organization as well. So it's huge. Hardline, do you play it?
I don't, but you know what? I'll give it the old college try. Look, I don't know how this is going to go. I mean, it sounds great. There's money being involved. But I remember they had Professional Highline at one point, and they had a couple other things, and it didn't last. I don't know what the true longevity of this sport is. Look, if it's cheap and it's affordable and it's fun, yeah, maybe it will last longer. But we'll see. I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket and say this is going to be in the next 10 years the major be-all, end-all sport. But we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong. Yep. And in that case, if I am wrong, I want my just due credit of getting a cut of pickleball sales from the beginning, because I was one of the first people to talk about it.
I'll tell you why I think it makes it, because it hits all demographics. There's a lot of seniors that play this, and they're putting pickleball courts up in Sun City and places that have retirement living. And two, anything LeBron James touches, he's such a brilliant businessman. For him to invest in this whole thing, look at his, forget basketball, he's one of the greatest of all time. Look at his production company. Look at some of the films that he's invested in and TV shows. He's a brilliant businessman. For him to go out and endorse this and put courts up in inner cities, it is going to be huge. John, Hardon, not all of us could play highlight, but all of us could play pickleball right now. Yep. So that's it's something to look for. I mean, look, John mentioned pickleball to me just in a conversation we had this week on the phone or in a text. I said, I'll look it up. I didn't realize that the NBA's behind it.
Yeah. No, it's huge. And by the way, probably in a couple of weeks, we're going to be toasting LeBron again, because he will probably break Kareem's scoring record in the NBA in the next 2 weeks or so, according to everything. So anyway, okay. All right. We're going to toast LeBron, and we're going to toast him with our drink of the week. So what are we sipping on, Fish?
This is it should be basically a green apple martini. What it is, it's Crown Royal. You put a little green apple liqueur in there, and cranberry juice. I have a little bit more Crown Royal than I do, but this is excellent as a cocktail and as a martini. One of the more popular martinis. A lot of martinis we sell at Chuck's Tavern are big in the summertime. It's refreshing.
Here's to LeBron. Here's to you guys.
Steve Kuhn too.
And Steve Kuhn. Definitely got to get it to him as well. All right, we'll have a drink with him. By the way, anything cranberry and apple together is great. Daily Fish Drink of the Week is sponsored by Shuck's Tavern in Vegas. Great seafood and drinks in 2 locations. Head to Shuck's Tavern on North Durango. That's on the northwest side of town where Fish is overnight. Go in there and say Daly Fish Podcast. What do you get? You get a free drink. Do it the next day. Say it again. A free appetizer. That's Shuck's Tavern. Check out Shuck's Tavern on Facebook. Again, folks, this is Daily Fish. We're on Facebook at daily.fish.5. You can subscribe there. Also subscribe to us on YouTube. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Stitcher, and Amazon. You can just listen to us there. Watch us on Facebook, also at Myrtle Beach Golf Channel, Myrtle Beach Grand Strand Life. Check out Daily Fish on YouTube, Hey Vegas TV, and Wingding TV. Also, check out our posts and news updates throughout the week. We're on Facebook and Twitter. All you got to do is look for Daily Fish. All right, let's get some bets now from the Daily Fish Hardlines. Again, he is John Hardison. He has the podcast, The Cost of Winning, focusing on fantasy sports betting and also on anything going on with sports betting. He's on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcast. Hardline, okay, as we talked earlier, we have the Final Four of pro football. What's interesting, and again, the weather can change, but the forecast looks really decent conditions for both games coming up on Sunday in Philly and Kansas City. I don't think that means anything, does it? Or is that something you would look at for betting?
Absolutely. I mean, you just like with anything like baseball, as we saw with the Buffalo Bills game, man, that snow made a difference. It made a difference in which the Bills moved. Clearly didn't stop the Bengals, but it makes a difference in what you're able to do and maybe the way in which you call play calls. Look, the Chiefs-Bengals game, they said later in the evening it has a chance of raining. And so depending on how far this game goes, as we know last year, it went into overtime. That could possibly be a factor. But with everything said, we talked about Pat Mahomes and the high ankle sprain. Chad Henne is much different of a quarterback than Pat Mahomes is. I think the Bengals get it done. I know that the Bengals are 1-point favorites. If you want to take them on the money line, that's the way I would go. But if you want to take them on the points as well, go. I just think the Bengals, as we talked about before, John, they're the best team in football right now. I just think that they're confident. Granted, they started off the year with a little bit of the Super Bowl hangover blues, but they've got it together. I think out of all the 4 teams that are left, they're the most talented. If you look at their wide receivers, you have 2 guys that could honestly be number 1 wide receivers on teams, and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. We also forget that they have Tyler Boyd, who's a hell of a slot receiver that they've got. Hayden Hurst is finally coming to the first-round pick that the Baltimore Ravens thought they had, just unfortunately with another team in the division. And they've got arguably a top 3, if not maybe the best quarterback in football right now. The one thing that, we talk about Brock Purdy being very relaxed, and look, he's overachieving, is Joe Burrow just being cool, being relaxed. No matter what goes wrong, he doesn't get upset. He doesn't get mad. He just rides the ship. He rides the course of everything. And look, you could clearly tell his teammates love him. He's not shy of the camera. To me, I think that the Bengals get it done on Sunday night, because I believe they have the night game.
Yeah. So real quickly, you're also picking the over, or if you had to, would you go with the over at 47.5?
You know what? I would go with the over. I would go with the over. I think that these 2 teams, I think the Bengals are going to put up their share of points. The biggest question is somewhat Pat Mahomes, but look, I still think even with a high ankle sprain, Pat Mahomes at least gets you 2 touchdowns and maybe they run. I mean, that's one thing that we haven't talked about this season with Kansas City is the last, Fish, correct me if I'm wrong, probably about 6 games, their run game has been night and day compared to where it started off at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Isaiah Pacheco, 5th-round pick, number 10, phenomenal. Yeah. Hilarious. He spreads the ball around daily, this guy, to 9 different receivers. I mean, yeah, you left every time. It's Juju Smith-Schuster. He's a Scantling. You got I didn't remember Kadarius Toney's now on the Chiefs. Over under Daly and Hardline. How many people of 50? Over under 50. Over under. How many of those 50 people go to jail for the Philadelphia game? That is a rough crowd. Okay. You talk about the weather. I've never seen it, even in the daytime. I've never seen the sun come out in Philadelphia. I know the women are toothless there, but it's a tough crowd. All right. They booed Santa Claus. They threw snowballs at Mike Schmidt. All right. Over under 50 people going to jail. They have a jail in the goddamn stadium. That's important to our fans of Daly Fish. Over under 50.
Over.
I'll go under because they can't fit that many people in the damn jail. So they're going to have to, so somebody's going to get gone before that. So, they can't fit that many people in a junk tank. You know what? We talked about this earlier. I love what Philly has done this year. I love the turnaround that they've made. Granted, they made the playoffs last year. But the team that was last year, you couldn't have told me that they would be this good this year. And give a lot of credit to a guy. I know he was on the hot seat for the last few years, Howie Roseman. I mean, the trade that he made for A.J. Brown, the resurgence of Miles Sanders, he should be in conversations for being general manager of the year. If not, he should clearly win general manager of the year for turning that team around. And give him credit for taking a shot on Jalen Hurts. I knew a lot of people when he left Alabama to go to Oklahoma, people didn't think that he would be this good. People didn't think that he would be able to be that guy that would be a franchise quarterback. And look at him now. I would gladly take him over Baker Mayfield. I'd gladly take him over Kyler Murray. And those are 2 guys, again, we're talking about when he switched to Oklahoma, those are 2 guys that, they had more praise and high over than him. I like what Philly does. My only concern with Philly, and I will take Philly to win, is the amount, and I've said it time and time again, those quarterback runs and how they can be detrimental to the body. And look, every week we get a question of, did he get popped on that too hard? Was that a hard hit? Is he okay? And again, he's going against a very good 49ers defense. But I think that we see that the 49ers, to me, I think the 49ers are going to get picked apart by the Eagles. I think so. I would not be surprised if Brock Purdy maybe even throws a pick six. I just think that they're that good and that hellacious.
Their defense is good. And I would say we got about 6 weeks into the season, and I think all three of us were like, okay, this team's for real. This is really a good team, and they're really well put together. Do you have a prop bet on who gets the most rushing yards between Hurts and McCaffrey?
So you know what? There's a prop bet going on right now so there's one of that. And I would take, it's funny as it sounds, I would take Jalen Hurts to have more rushing yards than CMC at plus 140. I would take him that, and it's only because of the amount of quarterback runs that they get. I think that the Eagles defense tries to smother CMC, and I think that the idea for the Eagles defense is, if we're going to get beat, it's going to be Brock Purdy that beats us. He's going to have to put on a phenomenal game where it's just, hey, you know what? You tip your hat. We thought we had something a little bit better and mixing up coverages, and unfortunately it didn't work. That's the one thing I want to see out of Brock Purdy in this game, is how he does with coverages that are mixed up. And I wouldn't be surprised if they try to play a bunch of shell games with him this weekend.
In these games, there's always someone on one of these teams that you know about that's the superstar and the hero. And I look at the Niners, they have Ayuk and they have CMC and they have Deebo Samuel, but Kwan Jennings, and they have Kittle. Kwan Jennings could have a huge game in this game. And I don't know why I think, and for Philadelphia, Dallas Goedert is one of these tight ends that just gets no print, no lip, and he's a great blocker. And then Bengals, you mentioned earlier, Tyler Boyd's going to probably have a breakout game because everything's T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. And for Kansas City, they got so many people out there that there was a guy that caught a couple passes, backs up Kelsey. By the way, why does Travis Kelsey daily get all 14 catches? This guy is like Michael Jordan. He just always gets open and always hits a shot. You can't cover this guy.
I mean, it's similar to the situation with Gronk. I mean, look, it's hard when you have a guy that's that big and that strong to take down without, cutting them, and the way the rules are different. You can't necessarily do that anymore like you could back in the 80s and 90s where, out of fears of high lows, where you could just cut guys that are that big. I mean, it's hard, but I love that you said Dallas Goedert. One person I would say is Miles Sanders. I mean, what a career resurgence he's had. Last year, you look at a guy who I think he didn't even have any touchdowns, barely got any rushing yards going. And this year, what is he? He's over 1,000 yards. A.J. Brown's over 1,000 yards this year. And who's the other guy that's over 1,000 yards?
Devontae Smith. Yeah, Devontae Smith.
Smith is over 1,000 yards this year. I think they said this is the first time they've had 3 players over 1,000 yards. Like that is what I'm saying, is that like realistically think about this. And I want to take a moment for all the football junkies that are out here. You look at the 49ers defense, and they're no schmucks at all, right? You look, but if you put A.J. Brown on one side, Smith on the other, Goddard inside, and you still got options for like Kenneth Gainwell, or you still have Miles Sanders, or you don't even know if Jalen Hurts is going to take off with the ball. How do you defend that? What are you gonna double A.J. Brown? All right, leave the Heisman Trophy winner open. You want to double the Heisman Trophy winner? You're gonna let A.J. Brown just go? And then you still, who's gonna cover Goddard? This is the love that I have for how Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni have made this team. It is deadly running. It is deadly passing. They are deadly up front. When you talk about Brandon Graham and Dominican Sue that they got, you got Super Bowl winners on the defensive line, not guys that played in the Super Bowl, defensive winners. This is what you love about the NFL when you talk about X's and O's and player personnel. And in regards to the 49ers, give a lot of credit, and I know he's had a hard road the last 2 years. Trent Williams, with everything that he had with that lawsuit with the Washington Commanders and moving on to the 49ers, give Trent Williams a lot of credit for anchoring that offensive line in the 49ers.
Yeah, cool. Finish it up, Fish.
One go. John Daly remembers a guy when he was a Giants fan and followed football named Joe Morris, who was huge with the '86 Giants.
Oh my God.
Boston Scott was got 11 touchdowns against the Giants. I mean, there's a small guy. You're right. Philly's loaded.
Terry. All right, folks. And again, so we're just for the record, we're following Hardline. We're going Bengals and Eagles, just for the record, so people don't come back and say, oh, Daly doesn't know what he's talking about. So even though he doesn't most of the time. All right, that is the Daly Fish Hardline with John Hardison of the Cost of Winning podcast. You can find him here with us all the time. He's also on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcast. Hardline, stick around. We got some more controversy for you, Fish, and me as well. All right, let's jump into a little controversy here. So here's one of the questions, Fish. You kind of raised this, and it's a really great question of what's going on in regular life. Where are all the plumbers, mechanics, and electricians?
Where's everyone? Where's everyone? I can't get enough physical therapists for my back for 3 weeks because of lack of labor. I have Hardline met a guy named Chris that comes in my bar. He's a plumber, and he can't get anyone to work for him. Everything's backed up. Firefighters, I talk to firefighters, I talk to Metro officers, I talk to plumbers and mechanics. And when you take your car in right now, 5 years ago, you can get your car back for an alternator in 2 days. Now it's a week. Think about it. All right. There's just no labor out there. We are not. And I always defer to Daly on this Hardline. Get your thoughts too, because Daly knows the pulse of what's going on with the economy and the pulse of what our labor force is. We can't get kids or anyone interested or motivated to do these jobs. If you're an electrician, once you get past your apprenticeship, it's $40 a fucking hour, and kids don't want to do this. I think it's a major, major problem, guys.
It is a major problem. And at the same time, too, I think you're seeing that, we're not pushing these jobs as like what you're saying, Fish. These are good jobs. Now, they're not as glamorous. You don't go to an Ivy League school. You don't walk out and, become somebody in a suit and doing stuff like that. It's hard work. I mean, this is really hard work, and it's stuff that we need. I'll give you a great example. We had a problem with our water heater here. We went 5 days without hot water in the house, and it was trying to get a company to come out. Now, one of the problems we're having here in our area is that things are booming, and it's probably the same thing with you there. They're building so many houses here that there's just not enough work to go around. So you definitely need that. What I am hearing, though, is that it's beginning to change, that a lot of the kids are beginning to go, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to need work. You're seeing all the tech layoffs. Kids are all of a sudden going to wake up saying, hey, you know what, maybe I'm not going to be doing that. I got to go find something else. And I find a lot of community colleges are really trying to push these technical jobs. And I think eventually you're going to start seeing, especially, we're running into a recession that's going to happen here. Hardline, go ahead. Give me your take.
No, I think you said it right. I think it's the look of everything. I think it's the image of, you're supposed to go to college instead of being a plumber or a master electrician. And I think, look, it starts early. I think it starts in high school. Look, some people just know at high school they don't want to go to college. So why not start these trades while you're in high school? These different things of electrical, plumbing, building. Look, they're great jobs. And honestly, to have this background with very little debt compared to going to college, I think it's something big. Look, a master electrician or a welder can make way more than somebody that might be a director at a company. Yeah, it's hard physical work, but it's something that's never going to go out of style. I mean, if you know how to fix a car, you know how to fix a car. I've had more use out of having friends that can fix cars or weld something than somebody that can code.
Right. Well, plus as we get closer to more EVs and stuff like that, they're going to have to be educated in this. So it's really something that they've got to do, and they've got to go for. Fish.
You're both fucked in your thinking if you think that these pussies that are tech kids are going to put down their phones and their computers and get underneath someone's house for PVC pipe. It ain't happening. Hardline's 1,000% correct. in the fact that the Dallas Cowboys stink and that the shits that happened in high school. That some kids don't know. They know I'm not that kind of guy, but to know that these are 6-figure jobs, my problems, I don't think people want to work hard. You said it correctly, Daly. You have to work hard to do these jobs. It's labor. And what kind of pussies are we putting out in society that don't even want to do this when we need this?
Let me bring up the one issue that people are crazy on both sides: immigration. We do need some form of immigration. We don't need massive immigration of people just wanting to come here and get away from it. But we need immigration where we're bringing in workers that are going to get training or have training in them already. And that's what we need. And that's one of the reasons why we're having a hard time filling a lot of these jobs. So that's going to be a part of it. Okay, you want to go to the next one, or do you got any more to hit on that?
No.
Okay, let's do this. So, Fish, you raised this question. Why are we so stupid about history?
I think, they said, what's the old Scottish saying? History is written by those who hang heroes, and you define your own history, your own agenda. I did some research. I looked the hardline at some textbooks in high school from different countries. In Iraq, there's no mention of Desert Storm. In France, there's no mention that even though de Gaulle liberated the Champs-Élysées, there's no mention that we landed at Normandy. Okay? American textbooks, no mention of Vietnam. So I think we're stupid. I want your opinions on this, guys, because we're not teaching what really happened. Okay? I had 3 guys walk in the other night, and I had Saving Private Ryan on a TV in the back. They're in their 40s, and they had nice shirts on. Look good. And I said, did you guys watch this movie? It's great. They had no idea what it was all about. I said, it's about landing in Normandy in your 40s. Okay. There's an old saying by, I think it's either Simon Wiesenthal or Elie Wiesel. I want to move this along. Those who forget the past are condemned to repeat it. You have to know your history.
Yep. Hard line, go for it.
Look, I think it's just what's taught, and I think that it goes back somewhat to the public school system, what you said. Look, not everything is going to be all, stars and stripes and hunky-dory. Look, there are some things that are horrible atrocities that we've gone through. There's some things that we've gone through that we haven't been the winners, and it's okay to explain to people, like, look, this is what happened. This is where it actually took place. This is what actually happened during these situations. You hit it right on the head, is knowing your past to know your future. I talk to kids that, we just talked about the 20-year anniversary 2 years ago about 9/11. And I talked to kids that were, born in 2001, born in 2000. And my question for them, even people that were born in 03, 04, is, do they teach 9/11 in your school? And they're like, I mean, we talk about it briefly, but it's not something that we even go really into depth about. And to think about everything, living through that situation, the tragedy that happened, how is this something that's not taught? I'm interested to see how we talk about the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan and how that's taught to kids moving forward. Is it something that we breeze over because there wasn't, quote unquote, a winner per se in certain ideas, or is it something that we stop? And there's different aspects and different roads that we could go down to. But, we have to be clear and we have to be honest about what happened so that we don't keep making these mistakes.
So I'd say there are 2 things, too, that add in exactly what you guys are talking about. One is the media. And I'm not saying the media because of media bias. I'm just saying there's so much media. And there's so many things that are happening. When you go back and even over the last 2 weeks and you look at all the stories and you're trying to put it together, it's very, very difficult. The second thing that ties into that is the lack of teachers. The number of teachers that are applying or trying to become teachers has dropped dramatically over the last 10 years. It's down dramatically. And being a teacher isn't fun. And Fish, you're going to know this because your wife Vicky's in the education field. It's a very difficult job and they're not paying them. So that's a lot of it too. And you keep hearing in politics, you have people who are in Congress who don't know what the 3 branches of government are because we're not teaching civics. And that's the big problem right there. But I agree with you 100%. That's true. All right, we're going to get to our last one, but let me do the bye-bye first. We're Daly Fish coming to you from Myrtle Beach and Las Vegas. We hit sports, entertainment, politics, and everything in between. We're on Facebook at daily.fish.5. Watch us on Facebook at Myrtle Beach Golf Channel, Myrtle Beach Grand Strand Life. Check us out on YouTube, Wingding TV, and also Hey Vegas TV at heyvegastv.com. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Stitcher, and Amazon. And all those channels, all you got to do is go back and you can see some guests that we have. For instance, we had Brian Cranston not just a short while ago. Also, write us at dailyfish1@gmail.com. All right, folks, let's take this out a little bit this way. So, Fish, you raised this one. Who are our favorite presidents? Fish, I'll let you go first.
I love Teddy Roosevelt. He had a great line I always use. He goes, He goes, I'm a politician. If I'm not kissing your baby, I'm stealing their lollipop. Greatest line ever. That's why I hate politicians. My favorite president was John F. Kennedy. Another great line. Ask not what your country could do for you. Ask what you could do for your country. And if you shorten that word country, he had a lot of those in the Lincoln bedroom. This guy got away with parties, hung out with Sinatra, Marilyn Monroe. I do not condone cheating. I've been married for 33 years. I'm a loyal man. But this guy did a lot in that White House, and he was a decent president, but he partied a lot, and his family was nuts. His dad, Joe, was a racist. His brother, Bobby, went up against Sam Giancana, one of the biggest mobsters, which caused a rift between him and Sinatra's. If you had the kind of media now, hardline, and the kind of access Hollywoods when President Kennedy was president, with all the frolicking going on in the White House, all the fucking, it would be insane.
Hardline, go for it.
I'm gonna go with Trump. Man, he took. This is the craziest thing about Trump. He was a guy that basically was like, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna say me. He took what Clinton used in terms of media presence in the 90s to push his campaign, and took it to a whole nother level. I mean, never in my life would I think a president would tell people, I'm not doing interviews with the press. If you care what I have to say, follow me on Twitter. And people did. And I mean, it was free entertainment day in and day out. I mean, look how many press secretaries that he went through, people trying to clean up stuff. It is amazing how he shook major media on its head and every day kept him guessing. What was he going to say next? How is this going to go? And regardless of what anybody says, negative or positive, the stories wrote themselves. It literally was just, he's going to say something. All I have to do is sit here. I don't even have to really research. He's just going to say it, and it's going to be an easy byline and makes my job that much easier.
And you're absolutely right. He used the media to perfection, and he knew, because he's a TV host. That's what he was. I wrote a column. It was like 15 months before the election, and I predicted Trump. And one of the reasons why is there was two reasons. The first was I was in Ohio a lot. I never saw a Hillary Clinton sign. I saw on every single lawn there was a Trump sign. I'm going like, if Ohio's doing this, there's going to be a change. I think he's going to either get in or he's going to come really close to getting in. The second reason is the media. He never appeared full face on a show like Morning Joe on MSNBC, but he was interviewed on the phone all the time. He was on everywhere, and he was great entertainment. And the great entertainment, a lot of the so-called liberal media thought, okay, we're going to make him look stupid. You didn't make him look stupid. You made yourself look stupid. And that's how he got in there. So I'd agree with you. But at Fish, I'm going to go back. I kind of, when you said Teddy Roosevelt, I go, Teddy Roosevelt's my favorite president. I love Teddy Roosevelt. Progressive era led to really what the economy was, the successful economy was in the 20th century was really started by Teddy Roosevelt with progressive era. If you get a chance, the History Channel has a docudrama. It's a 4-part series where somebody plays Teddy Roosevelt, and then they bring in historians. It is a brilliant 4-part series on the life of Teddy Roosevelt. Him, the Rough Riders, and then everything else once he got older. And, he got out, tried to run back in as president in 1916 and lost to Woodrow Wilson. And, just the whole stories about his life and everything like that. And his relationship or distant relationship with FDR, who was a distant cousin at the same time too. So there you have it. Okay. We got less than a minute left. Fill me in, guys, and we'll just go out that way.
Well, this is, I found out who's running this with our first person that's telling everyone on breaking news on Daily Fish, they're running for president. There you go, right there. That's our first candidate. God. It's independent. His name is Jeff Thong, and hey, got my vote, buddy. Got my vote.
I mean,
Not
he's
that-
unapologetic.
You know what, guys? We got 30 seconds to go, but that wasn't the great. Rich Eisen says one of the greatest playoff weekends. It wasn't for me. There was one really good game between Dallas and San Francisco. Other than that, there were two blowouts, Cincinnati, Buffalo, and the Giants game. And so sometimes you get expectations, like you go on a first date with a girl and you think it's going great, and then she farts in your car. I mean, it's first expectations. It's done. So let's get out of here.